under the vast expanse of the Eurasian steppe, where endless grasslands stretch to the horizon and the wind whispers through rolling plains. There once lived a people whose story is both powerful and hauntingly beautiful. A people who rose from nomadic beginnings and rode across history with courage, resilience, and an unbreakable spirit. Tonight, as you relax, breathe deeply, and let your mind drift, you are about to travel back in time to meet them. They were called the Alans. Long before great cities towered in stone and before empires thrust their banners into the sky, the steppe itself was a world, a living ocean of grass. Horses thundered across it like waves, and the sky above felt near enough to touch. Life here demanded strength. It demanded unity. It demanded endurance. The people who survived this land were shaped by it, hardened by its winters, and freed by its open space. The Alans were one of these steppe peoples, born from the ancient Sarmatian world, part of the great Iranian-speaking nomadic tribes who once ruled these endless plains. Imagine their world. Herds of horses grazing beneath golden sunsets. Families gathering around glowing campfires. Tents rising against the horizon like silent guardians of tradition. Warriors polishing armor beneath starlight. Mothers soothing children with stories of courage. Elders speaking prayers to the spirits of wind, sky, and earth. The Alans were deeply connected to nature. They believed their lives were woven into the fabric of the land itself. Each sunrise was a blessing. Each storm a reminder of power beyond human control. Each journey a new beginning. They were masters of the horse, riders of incredible speed and agility. To an Alan warrior, the horse was not merely an animal. It was an extension of the soul. From childhood, they learned balance, precision, and unity with their steeds. They became archers capable of striking targets while galloping at breathtaking speed. Their cavalry would one day terrify empires, but in these early moments, they were simply living, surviving, building identity. Their society valued strength, loyalty, wisdom, and honor. Leaders were chosen not only for their power, but for their ability to guide, protect, and inspire. At feasts, music filled the night air. Ancient songs carried tales of heroes who faced impossible challenges, gods who shaped destiny, and ancestors whose spirits still walked beside them. These stories weren't simply entertainment. They were lessons, reminders of bravery, sacrifice, and faith. As centuries passed, the world beyond the steppe began to change. Great powers rose and fell. Trade routes opened. Rome expanded. Kingdoms fought and fractured. Yet the Alans remained, adapting, evolving, and watching from the plains. But fate has a way of calling even the most peaceful people into struggle. Soon, the Alans would step from the quiet isolation of the steppe onto the great stage of history. They first came into contact with mighty Rome, sometimes as allies, sometimes as mercenaries, and sometimes as feared enemies. Roman commanders spoke of them with respect and unease. Their cavalry, armed with long lances and clad in armor, became legendary. They fought not simply with strength, but with precision and honor. To face an Alan warrior on the battlefield was to confront discipline, courage, and fearless determination. Yet their story was not one of endless war. They were also travelers, traders, and settlers. Some Alans crossed into the Caucasus, blending into new lands, shaping future cultures. Others journeyed west toward Europe, where their presence would ripple through history in surprising ways. In time, they would ride with migrating peoples, influence kingdoms, and even play a part in shaping medieval chivalry. Their code of honor, bravery, and mounted warfare left a mark that echoes even today. But for every rise, history brings challenge. A storm was coming to the steppe, a force that would change everything. The Huns, like a shadow sweeping across the world. The Huns pushed westward with terrifying speed, their appearance sudden and devastating. Tribes across the steppe trembled. Kingdoms collapsed. Panic spread. And standing in their path were the Alans. Some were conquered. Some were absorbed into Hun armies. Others fought fiercely and escaped, continuing west with other displaced peoples, including the Goths and Vandals. What followed was one of the great migrations in human history. The Alans rode across Europe, carving new destinies wherever they went. Some settled in Gaul, where they would become guardians, allies, and eventually part of the cultural fabric of what would one day become France. Others continued further, crossing mountains and seas until they reached the distant lands of Hispania, where they briefly formed their own kingdom. Imagine that, from the cold wind of the steppe to the warm sun of Iberia, their journey was one of courage and transformation. Although their kingdom in Hispania was eventually absorbed, the spirit of the Alans refused to fade. They lived on through cultures they joined, bloodlines they influenced, and traditions they helped shape. Knights of medieval Europe would later inherit ideas of mounted honor and warrior code that trace their roots back to nomadic riders like the Alans. Even their name survives, echoing in places like Alaniano, Sisha, where descendants still carry fragments of their past. Back on the steppe, others remained, creating new communities in the Caucasus. These people, over centuries, preserved language, beliefs, and identity. Their descendants would become known as the Ossetians, a living reminder that although empires vanish, people endure. The Alans may have disappeared from world maps, but they never disappeared from humanity. Beyond warfare and migration, the Alans were deeply spiritual. They believed in unseen forces. Their rituals honored ancestors, celebrated life, and respected death. Burial mounds still stand as silent monuments to lives once lived fiercely and proudly. Artifacts found by archaeologists, ornate jewelry, weapons, pottery, tell stories without words. They remind us that these were not faceless warriors from a distant past. They were mothers, fathers, children, and elders. They laughed. They wept. They loved. They hoped. Their history teaches us about resilience. They faced invasion, displacement, and change, yet found new homes, new lives, new futures. Where others might have vanished completely, the Alans transformed, adapted, and carried their spirit forward into new worlds. Their story is not about defeat. It is about survival through change, transformation through adversity, legacy through endurance. Tonight, as your breathing softens and your body relaxes, let the journey of the Alans drift gently in your mind. Picture the shimmering horizon of the steppe beneath a golden evening sky. Hear the distant thunder of hooves. Feel the quiet strength of a people who refuse to be erased. Their story is a reminder that even when life changes direction, even when storms come, even when landscapes shift, something powerful remains. Identity, memory, courage. History is not only written in books or carved into stone. Sometimes it rides on horseback across the wind, whispered through traditions, living in people who never forget who they are. The Alans remind us that greatness is not only measured by empires ruled or monuments built. Sometimes greatness is measured by endurance, by spirit, by the ability to keep moving forward when everything changes. Roam the steppe. So relax now. Let their tale wrap around you like a warm cloak beneath the night sky. Let the calm strength of the Alans bring peace to your thoughts. Breathe slowly, rest deeply, and drift gently into sleep, knowing that, like them, you too carry strength, history, and resilience within you. The Alans may no longer roam the steppe, but their echo still travels through time. Quiet, steady, eternal. Sleep well, traveler of history. The journey continues tomorrow,